Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. We're actually going to switch it up, and I'm going to talk to Olivia. She's usually the one asking all the questions. And we decided, oh, wait, hold on. We need to know your history and what has brought you to Diablo Ballet. We'll do the same format. And we're doing this right after my interview. I'm like, we're in the same outfit.
Should we have changed shirts? No, we didn't.
Thought about it. But I think it's super, super important to sort of get the background on every dancer. We're all so different at Diablo Ballet. And so, I don't need to do more of an introduction. Let's jump right into it, shall we?
We shall.
Without further ado, Olivia Powell, people. There she is. Hey, girl.
Hey.
I want to sort of start off by saying I think it's really awesome that you've started this journey, and I think it's really cool to be inspired to share everyone's story, and I think people want to hear it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear everyone else's and yours.
Well, I think what's been most fascinating for me is we talked about this in your interview, is that we are so close. We know each other all so well, but there's things I'm learning about everybody. I didn't realize, I knew you lived in Seattle, but I didn't realize that you were commuting back and forth to New York and you were freelancing during that time.
Are we still in my interview? No. But yeah.
But things about Lee, things about Michael, I never knew before. So you're always learning.
It's special. So I think, like you start with mine, where did you grow up? Tell me, let's start age 1 through 12. Where were you?
Well, I was born in Salem, Massachusetts. You were born in Salem, Oregon.
Oh,
I was born in Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah. But I ended up growing up in a town right outside of the Boston area, Lynn, Massachusetts. And that is, I went to this recital school, Lee and Leslie, in Lynn, Massachusetts, and it was my very first exposure to tap, jazz, just all this sparkle, and so much glitter. And it was just, I think my mom, she was like, I have 2 young daughters. That's what little girls do, is dance. So I'll put them in dance. And then we ended up moving to another area outside of Boston, Newton, Massachusetts, to move in with my grandparents, my dad's parents. And Boston Ballet had a satellite school in Newton at the time. And they still do, but it's a different building. But this is the old building. And they were right down the street from my grandparents' house. So my mom was like, oh, it says ballet on it. Let me just sign them up there.
Awesome.
And little did she know, it was a professional ballet school. And I was hooked. And I went through my training there. I started at Vaganova training with a lot of Russian teachers from the Kirov and the Bolshoi Ballet. And then, later on in my training, we swapped to, Mikko Niskanen took over the company. So the whole curriculum changed to more classical and Balanchine training and dance education. So I was there for about 15 years. Yeah, that's where I got my training.
That's great. Easy. One school,
done.
Yeah. Did you go to, were there summer programs involved?
Yeah. My first summer program was Boston Ballet.
Shocking.
Shocking, I know. My mom, when I was, and my sister was also dancing at the same time. She was a little bit younger than me. And I think it was important for her that both of us went together wherever it was. And she was still too young at the time to leave home. So for a number of years, we stayed at Boston Ballet. And then my very first overnight summer intensive experience was in Chautauqua, New York.
Nice.
I think I was 11 or 12 years old, and my sister was 9 or 10. I can't quite remember. And we went together. We were roommates. But then I went to ABT New York. I went to Houston Ballet, like you. Oh. I know, weird. I went to Orlando Ballet School, which was a great, great program. I don't really remember where. I think that was it. And then Boston Ballet a number of years. Yeah, that was it.
Did you think about staying like for year-round programs ever, or were you always sort of thinking you would come back to your school? And
good question. Well, so my family, like, we were public school kids. Also, I have very severe learning disabilities, so school was really hard for me. And but back then they called they put kids with dyslexia and processing disorders into a class called special education. And that program at the school that I went to is really, really great. Awesome. And I have amazing teachers that help me, develop tools to be able to be successful in school. So I think the hesitancy with my mom in enrolling me in like a year-round program at a different school was my education. But then also Boston Ballet was a great program in itself, so there wasn't really much need to put me anywhere else. Meanwhile, my sister, she got an opportunity to join San Francisco Ballet when she was, I think she was only like 15 years old. But she was put on full scholarship and full room and board, so it was just like one of those things that we couldn't really, they didn't really feel like they could say no to. So right. Yeah, she's been there ever since. Yeah. She's been there, still there. Yeah.
All right. So did you graduate high school?
I did. Graduated high school somehow. Somehow. I don't know how I did it. I mean, teaching my kids now, I'm like, gosh, you couldn't pay me enough to go back to high school.
I just think it's also so hard because we spend so many hours a day doing ballet class at that age.
And you get home at 10 o'clock at night and then you do homework.
I know.
Every day.
I know. I think it's worse now. I think they have more homework. I think everything is.
I think you're right. And it's all this whole other language. I mean, the children amaze me.
Yeah. Wait, so here's my real question. What happened after that?
What happened after that? Well, funny enough, I don't know if you know this, I broke my back.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I spent my whole senior year of high school in a back brace.
Did you break it in dance?
I did. I had I fractured my L3 and L4. So I still to this day have really bad.
Did someone drop you?
Huh?
Did someone drop you?
No, just not. I think we were all kids and nobody really knew what they were doing. And I also didn't know what I was doing. So it's everybody involved. Also I was young and I thought that if I had a really big back extension that made me a better dancer. Not true. Let you know.
No, but wouldn't that be great now?
My back over it. So don't do that.
I'd go for that now though.
I mean, I know, I'm like, ow. So that happened, and that was my senior year of high school, which, as you know, is a really crucial year to kind of figure out what the next step is.
Totally.
So a lot of my college auditions I did with a broken back. I'd never even attempted to do a company audition because I was like, well, I have a broken back. It's not going to happen. But I didn't really get accepted into many schools except for NYU Tisch Dance.
Which makes it sound like it's easy to get in. It is
not.
not.
It's like one of the top dance schools in the entire world.
Yeah, it's very hard to get into. But yes.
Super hard to get into. I don't know why they said yes to me, but they did.
They saw your talent, your motivation, your drive.
Yeah.
Your artistry.
Well, I also didn't tell them I had a broken back. I took my back brace off for the audition.
That is probably also why.
Probably also. I don't know. Not smart. Don't do that, children.
Miss Olivia says.
Don't do that. Not a good decision. But I ended up going and loving it. Jackie also is a NYU graduate herself. And Tisch Dance, I think, kind of put my whole artistic experience on track. I don't think I was much of an artist at all before that. I think I was more of like a robot. It was all about pliés and tendus, and like there was no joy in dance. Just be
totally
perfect, And NYU really showed me that, no, it's okay to like be an individual. It's okay to move in a different way. There's modern dance. I had never experienced that before in my life. And I was just this like little bunhead, like didn't know how to move at all. And it really was such a time in my life, and especially, at like 18 years old, you're growing so much. So yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, you're away from your parents and you're in New York City, so you get to see a lot of dance. You get to do whatever you want.
You get to do whatever you want. I was like, I can like eat cookies.
You can eat cookies all the time.
I was like, I could eat cookies at Palladium.
Oh yeah, those dining halls.
It's the best cookies.
Just eat those cookies and then you're good for the day.
So yeah, I mean, NYU I think it's an excellent school. I thought that I was going, like you said, I thought that I was going to be with those kids the rest of my life, and we were going to start our own company together, and we just had this bond unlike anything I'd ever experienced before.
And modern dance and ballet all in one.
Ballet we were choreographing. We were
and then something changed. You were like, hold on. Let me actually take a detour here.
Well, so yeah, detour. It was in my second year, so I had done a full 2 years at NYU, and then I I don't even know why. Well, I met this woman at NYU who was getting her master's program at the time, Selena Chow, you know her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a beautiful ballerina, and she had a 10-year-long career with Hong Kong Ballet. She's from Hong Kong. And she was just like, I think that, you could do more ballet stuff at my school in Hong Kong. And I was like, you think so? She was like, yeah, I think so. And I was like, okay. So I applied and I got in.
So cool.
And I went home to my parents over Christmas break, and I was like, I'm moving to Hong Kong.
I mean, the thing I think I missed most about my college experience was that I didn't get to go abroad.
Study abroad. Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we had that Austrian program, though.
Yeah, but that was very modern also.
Very
that was like really rolling on the ground.
And it was only during the summer, correct?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. What was that program called? I don't remember.
It was in Salzburg.
Yeah. And only like a couple of kids got to go.
Yeah.
At a year at a time.
And it was always the really like talented modern kids.
Yeah, the ones that were like super like creatures. Yeah. Not me. No. I could never let go of like pointing my feet. I remember I would get yelled at all the time for pointing my feet.
That's a great skill. You got great feet. Show them off. I get that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So in December, you're like, I'm going to Hong Kong. Then did you just go?
I left like 3 weeks later. I didn't have a house to live in. I was 19 years old. And I just moved there. And I didn't, I was still enrolled in the school, so that was a good thing. I had that stability. They didn't offer any sort of housing. In Hong Kong culture, people stay, if you're from there. Most of the other kids were local kids or from mainland China. And they lived with their families. That's just kind of what the culture is. So there wasn't really anywhere for me to go. So my dad came with me for like 2 days, and he works a lot, so he came with me and was like, we have to find you somewhere to live by the end of this 2 days. And we found something. Yep, teeny tiny little apartment that's probably the size of my closet right now. And I lived in it for 3 years. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But it was great. I mean, I saw so much dance when I was there. I got the opportunity to perform a lot with Hong Kong Ballet. So I guess it was like my first exposure to professional dance. They were able to pay us for that. I was able to finish my degree. I was still able to keep up my modern training. I made the best friends, in my life there. They're still close friends today. So it was a great experience.
Cool.
Yeah. I learned Chinese.
I mean, all these skills. So many skills.
It was great. I loved it. Yeah.
And then, so now all of a sudden you're in China. What did you do after? Did you go back home for a bit?
Well, I was in China and I graduated early because I was able to actually transfer my credits from NYU to Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts, is what the university is called. So I was able to graduate earlier. So I moved back to the United States because my visa expired, and I didn't have a job. I moved back in with my parents, but it was really great, and I was freelancing in Boston. I was also doing some work in New York. And then every single weekend I was auditioning. So I did maybe like 30 to 35 auditions in those 6 months that I came home.
Wow.
And I was flying around the country auditioning, and then, during the week doing rehearsals for whatever gig I was doing. So yeah, it was kind of like a tough time. I was also teaching a lot, just to like make money to pay for these trips to some part of the country, and put yourself up in a hotel for a night that they're just going to say no to you.
The audition lifestyle.
Yeah, the audition lifestyle. But then Alabama Ballet ended up giving me a contract, so I ended up going there for 3 years. Yeah, and that's a very classical company.
Yeah.
Very classical. But at the same time, Tracy Alvey, who I still have a very nice relationship with today, I still teach for the summer program for them. Unfortunately, not this summer, but usually I do. She brought in some Yuri Killian works for us that I was able to do. We did Agnes DeMille. So she did bring a lot of like variety, a lot of balancing we did. And then also.
Do you feel that having gone to like both NYU and in Hong Kong, like getting that modern training, did you feel like you had an advantage for the modern works, the more contemporary works?
I don't actually think I would have a career today if it weren't for my modern training.
Right. I feel very similarly. There's something about that, and it's a special little niche that you have. And I think it's mostly just the confidence to even move slightly differently.
Yeah, and like half the time, a new choreographer comes into the room and they're like improv, and you're like, I've done that a lot, so I don't really feel scared about it.
Not okay with it.
Not okay with it,
Yeah,
that's definitely
like.
So yeah, no, 100%. I think that.
And I think it does then give you, the directors see you, and then you're like, and I could do classical. Check this out.
I'm like, I try to do classical.
So it's nice to have that other little modern.
Yeah, it's like a little tool in your pocket, But I also think it made me feel more comfortable choreographing, which I choreographed on Alabama Ballet. And I also choreographed on Ballet Memphis. So in the next chapter, I moved to Ballet Memphis.
There's a nice transition. Yeah. Seamless transition.
Yeah.
Oh.
Seamless. 4 hours away.
Oh, is it only 4 hours?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh. Yeah. Did you go and do an audition and you're like,
well, so I auditioned during the whole me coming back from China and auditioning everywhere.
Awesome. I had 6 months.
Ballet Memphis. Yeah, for 6 months. I had auditioned for Ballet Memphis, but they didn't have any positions available for me at the time. And then a couple of years later, I guess they had a female contract open up, and the ballet mistress reached out to me.
Cool. Easy. That's the best way to do it.
You're yeah, I was like, oh, cool. All right. And then she did want me to come back and at least take company class. So,
let's make sure you've worn.
It wasn't a free job. I still had to go.
Oh yeah.
But I ended up getting hired, and I was there for about 3 years. Yeah.
And did you get to do both classical and contemporary at Ballet Memphis?
We would like kind of swap. We would do like a classical work. We would do one of Stephen's ballets, Romeo and Juliet, and like Cinderella, Wizard of Oz, and Nutcracker, of course. But then what I really enjoyed about Ballet Memphis is we would do new work all the time. Awesome. And so choreographers would come in that had won different kinds of awards, and you would get work made on you a lot. Yeah. So I was very, very lucky. I had really good casting and that kind of stuff, and it kind of gives you like, when you learn a new person's aesthetic, it gives you that new aesthetic as part of your own too. Totally. You are always taking things from other people,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a cool, fun time, but a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you spent 3 years there, and then what was next?
Well, I left Ballet Memphis. My house burnt down.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Maybe I'll edit this part out, but my house burnt down, and I just didn't have the best luck. I got robbed a lot when I was there, so I just didn't really necessarily feel like it was the universe was saying you should live here. So
that's a very, very good sign.
Yeah. Just like one right after another, I was like, maybe this isn't working out.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was necessarily like a career decision for me to leave Ballet Memphis. It's more of like a life thing. And sometimes that happens in your career. So I ended up leaving the company and moving to Florida to mainly just to take class with this one woman, Magali Suarez, who is a master teacher. But I was freelancing for 2 years while I was there. And then I was flying around the country 7 days a week. I was teaching 7 days a week for a long time. And I was just kind of hustling. I was serving tables, working at yacht clubs. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
That dream life, that artist life. Yeah.
The artist life. It was definitely that hard time in my life where I was like, I'm just trying to make a paycheck.
But you were based for those 2 years, you were in Florida.
In Fort Lauderdale for 2 years, yeah. And then my sister was kind of like, Olivia, you should really give companies a try again. Why not? Like, you're still young enough. Like, you could still do it. And I was like, ugh. But I was like, maybe that sounds, maybe I'll do that. And then I came to San Francisco to visit. And I took class with Diablo Ballet.
I remember you.
Yeah.
I remember you.
And yeah, the rest is history. Now I'm here. So.
Yeah. I remember you. I was like, oh, that girl's really good.
No, you
Yes,
didn't.
I was like, she is. She's definitely getting the job.
I was so nervous. I remember when I saw all of you guys.
I don't think I said hey to you. I don't think I was very nice to you. I wasn't that I wasn't nice. I just don't think
you were perfectly nice. I don't know what you're talking about.
I say hey? I don't even know. Sometimes I just go to my bar spot and just start.
You totally did. Okay. What really attracted me to Diablo Ballet was I saw like everybody was definitely very mature and very seasoned, and there wasn't that like kind of hierarchical, even though like of course there is in all ballet companies, but it wasn't that kind of like toxic environment feeling.
Definitely.
And so that was really refreshing to me. And Lauren's just so lovely and so sweet, and she really cares about all of her dancers and her employees. And there's such a deep connection with the audience. So I think that's really what attracted me to.
Well, and I think what we've been talking about, we get to do such a nice range of works too. Like we get some fun contemporary works. We get super classical. We get older classical thing. We get the whole range.
Yeah.
The Balanchine. It's.
Also, there's the Diablo Ballet School that we are finishing up the first school year this year. So it's providing like a lot of teaching aspects. I love teaching.
I'm thankful that you joined Diablo Ballet, a nice family.
And you're here. Isn't it so funny? And I think this specific situation right now, you and I talking about our careers, we met maybe 12 years ago?
Yeah, like a long time. Yeah.
And here we are working at the same company.
Yeah, it's a small world.
Small world, and
it's really special.
Thankful for it, really special, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. No, definitely not. Thank you. I'm gonna wrap it up. Can we wrap it up?
Sounds great.
Thank you for talking to me. Thank you to all of our Diablo Ballet supporters. You guys mean so much during this time, and we can't wait to share more with you. And stay tuned. Stay healthy. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you. Thanks, Jackie. Good job.